So in this video, I tried to counter Granger and Miya using Alucard in the gold lane, and this is my first game. As expected, my teammates wouldn't allow me. For example, S4 told me to go to the EXP lane, and then S5 still picked a marksman. But of course I'm stubborn, so there's no way I'd just accept that. I was ready to troll if that's what they wanted. But what ended up happening was that the marksman went to the EXP lane instead. They're so stubborn, as if it's an automatic loss without a marksman. And our roam never even visited my lane in this game, while Granger got multiple visits. But that's fine. I should be able to handle it. I mean, that's why I picked a fighter in the first place, to be able to fight back against two enemies without relying on teammates. I'm actually starting to like using Alucard because his playstyle is aggressive and pretty easy to use. I know a lot of my viewers have tried playing Alucard in the gold lane, and he's really strong, especially when the enemy doesn't counter him properly, like if there's no hard CC. That's usually the main counter to heroes like him, just like Freya. And these kinds of heroes are terrifying when played by skilled players. It's just that there's so many heroes that can counter them. In a way, they become a poison in games. Can be even stronger than meta heroes if not countered, but easily shut down if the enemy knows how to handle them. This is already the second time the enemy roam has visited my lane, but watch what happens next. He can easily take on multiple enemies as long as there's no CC. And Rose Gold Meteor is a perfect fit for him because his ultimate has a passive that grants hybrid lifesteal, 10% at level 1 and 30% at level 3. When you build Rose Gold Meteor, you immediately get 40 hybrid defense if his ult is level 3. His ultimate also provides additional hybrid defense when activated, making him really tanky in those situations. In this game, I built it as my third item, but it could have been a first or second item depending on your preference. This cockroach keeps visiting the gold lane over and over again. I'd love to stomp on him already. Meanwhile, our roam seems to have completely erased the gold lane from their map. That cockroach won't be able to do anything once I build Rose Gold Meteor, because he'll struggle to fight if he can't burst his target. Here, even without my ultimate, I can still sustain against the enemies, and his damage is insanely high. This is the kind of hero you could one-trick since he can play multiple roles, XP, jungle, or gold lane. But I think gold lane and jungle are his best roles. I've tried using him as a jungler and he's really strong, especially in the early game. You have to play aggressively because enemies are at a disadvantage early on. At this point, I'm already turret diving the enemies, and they can barely do anything. That's just how it is when there's no crowd control. This is why CC is so important in the current meta. If your team has a lot of CC, you have a huge advantage against enemies who lack it. But of course, if your teammates are dumb, having a lot of CC still won't matter. The sad thing is, there's no cure for stupidity. My advice is that, if you're not that good with mechanics, make up for it with smart decision making. Even just knowing how to build the right items depending on your matchup makes a huge difference. And if you can read your enemy's movements, that's an even bigger advantage. But again, this is a 5v5 match. Teamwork is more important than individual skills. But, you know, in solo rank games, teamwork barely exists. That's why having good individual skills is so important. However, if the enemy team surprisingly has good teamwork, you'll struggle no matter how skilled you are individually. This game was actually a few days ago. About 3 days ago, to be exact. You can even see the Elemental Eye, which is no longer in the game. This first game was not that hard since my teammates weren't that dumb, and the enemies weren't that strong either. But my second game, that one was really tough. I couldn't handle the stupidity of my teammates. I played that match at midnight, just like when I played Arlott in the video I posted yesterday. The dark system really hits hard at that hour, but in this game you can really see that Alucard can counter Granger, who is very popular in ranked games right now. Has anyone here tried it yet? So this is the second game in this video. And of course, when I said I was going Alucard gold lane, this S5 still wanted to pick a marksman. So I pretended I was going to use a marksman too, then switched to Alucard after they locked in their pick. Our jungler in this game is a Fanny main, and Fanny is their most played hero. They already have over 1,000 matches with her, so they should be good at her by now. Right? I don't know what our tank was thinking here. He should have done that in the mid lane instead, where fast clearing is more important. He hit the minions and then just left. Such a waste of time, and on top of that, I lost the chance to freeze the minion wave. For those watching, never do that in the gold lane, especially if you're solo. It completely ruins their strategy. If you really want to do it in the mid lane where it actually helps. You don't need to be a tank main to understand this. You just need to use common sense. That's why knowing what to do in the game is so important. Or if you're using tanks like Tigreal, Cho, or Hilda, you can also delay the enemy jungler a bit. But the best way to play it is to help the mid laner clear the wave first, then rotate together. Our Fanny is really good in this game. Here are their stats on Fanny. Pretty impressive, right? Here, I had a strong feeling that Miya had someone hiding in the bush because even though she was low HP, she was still playing aggressively. And I was right. Harley and Saber were there waiting. Good thing Vale's ult landed. But I just don't get it. Tigreal had the perfect chance for a 3-man set, yet he only went for Saber. Looks like our tank really has a thing for Saber. And just watch what Fanny does here. Crazy, right? He knows it's Saber, a huge threat to him, yet he still dives in first, even though he can't even burst him down. No wonder he only has a 46% win rate. Players like him are the most annoying teammates, super loud in game, acting like they're carrying, when in reality, they're the problem. Just wait until you see what he says later. These are the types of players I hate the most, the ones who contribute nothing but are the loudest when things go wrong. They'll even trash talk the actual carry of the team, blaming them for a single mistake while they themselves are dead weight. If you're this kind of player, please just don't play ML. I might end up on your team, and I'd rather not deal with that. It's fine if you're not that good, as long as you stay quiet and don't act like you're the best. Having a bad game is different from being outright stupid. Sometimes unexpected things happen, and honest mistakes are normal. But if you're trash talking while being the dead weight of the team, especially if you're targeting the one actually carrying, that's not just a mistake anymore. That's a choice. You're fully in control of your actions, and that kind of toxicity is just unnecessary. If you're the one carrying the team and you trash talk an actual liability, I could still understand it, though I wouldn't recommend it. But if it's the other way around, no way. That's just straight up delusional. In this game, if I weren't here, we probably would have lost in just 10 minutes. And if I had played a marksman instead, it would have been a nightmare, going up against Harley and Saber, who know exactly who to target. There's no way I could have played properly in that situation, especially when I can't rely on my teammates to protect me. That's why playing marksman is tough when you have enemies like these and teammates like this. Look at our tank. 3 enemies are dead, and instead of supporting us to push the mid turret, what does he do? He takes the long cut.
My father's glory.
You destroyed a turret. The Lord.
Demons, I'll cleanse this land with your blood. Oh, darkness!
Legendary.
I miss Azrael under the moonlight, as well as her silver.
We even secured the Lord here, and the enemy mage and marksman could have been dead if our tank actually moved. He had his ultimate and flicker ready, but instead, he just sat in the bush doing nothing. At this point, I thought I'd survive since I still had Rose Gold Meteor. But it turns out, it wasn't enough to sustain against Harley's ultimate. Our tank didn't build Dominance Ice, and our Edith didn't build Thunderbelt, which is such a waste, especially since this game lasted nearly 30 minutes. She could have had over 100 stacks by then, and Thunderbelt is really important for Edith. And if you noticed, Fanny was still full damage at that point. Just wait until you see what her build looks like after this game. There it is. Cyclops solo killed her. That was probably the moment she decided to change her build. Must have been a serious trauma, realizing that any hero could solo kill her and that she couldn't even burst anyone down. And she's playing Fanny of all heroes. This is exactly why Fanny's win rate is lower than it should be, because of players like this. This part was so funny. Tigreal landed his ultimate on Natalia, but Fanny decided to chase the low HP Miya instead. And guess what? She ended up dying. Miya didn't even build Wind of Nature, so she was an easy kill. If Fanny had just played it right, we could have ended the game right there. But nope, she got herself killed instead. And the best part? This same Fanny was the one trash-talking me, saying all I do is go for kills. Do you know how absurd that is? Just wait until you see her turret damage later. Literally 0. Not even a little bit. And yet she's the one accusing me of playing for kills. Well, yeah, I have a lot of kills, but I should be the one frustrated with you guys. No matter how many times I keep killing the enemies, nothing changes. The game still drags on because of your stupidity. Isn't that just absurd? So she's just relying on me to do everything, and if we lose, it's still somehow my fault? Yeah, my kills did something, they dragged the game out. Because without me, you would have lost a long time ago. Anyway, if you ever end up in a late game situation like this while using a tanky hero, pull the minions to the side and don't let them get close to your turret. We could have still defended if Edith did that. But honestly, it's fine. My teammates were useless anyway, and this game wasn't even worth winning. Look at Fanny's turret damage. Meanwhile, I had the highest stats in every category, and yet I'm the one getting blamed?